The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. I am your host JD. Kyle's here.
It's me.
It is Kyle. He's a beautiful soul. And hey, Melanie's here too.
Oh my god, hi, I'm here.
Yes, you are. It's beautiful. Everybody's here. We're all friends. And guess what, guys? The 90s is alive and it's back.
90s is alive.
Yeah. So if you're a child of the 90s, you probably watched Hey Arnold, right?
Yes.
No.
I mean, we all did, right?
No.
You didn't watch Hey Arnold, Kyle?
I did.
Okay, good. All right, so we're all on the same page. So yeah, so there's this thing.
I watched the fuck out of Hey Arnold.
Whoa.
Good. So there's this thing that's been trying to get done for who knows how many years, basically since Hey Arnold went off the air.
Mm-hmm.
And it's finally out. Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. It's here. It's out.
It's here. It's woo! It's like 15 years in the making. It's really exciting.
Yeah. It's a good time, everybody.
It's a really good time.
And so we're going to talk about the Jungle Movie and see if it lives up to the hype and see if it is the conclusion that Hey Arnold deserves.
So
yeah, Melanie, you're probably the biggest Hey Arnold fan in this room. Why don't you tell us your general thoughts of what the movie was?
Well, so I was really excited that this movie got announced, because, I mean, for years and years, people were fighting to get this movie done. Because Craig Bartlett, the creator, said that he had the screenplay, like, written, from day one. And he wanted this movie to be, like, a theatrical release to end the show.
Because, like, wasn't this supposed to be what Hey Arnold the movie was?
Uh-huh. And Nickelodeon was like, no, we're going to do the other movie instead. And then because that movie did so poorly, Nickelodeon was like, no, we're not going to fund this other movie. So the Hey Arnold series never got a wrap-up.
Yeah, because it ended on a cliffhanger.
It was awful.
And this movie picks up pretty much right there, like right
So,
where the series ended.
It's interesting. So, like, the big overarching mystery of the show is where's Arnold's parents. But, it's interesting because there's a lot of cartoons out there where, like, the kids don't have parents. And that's just kind of like whatever. Like, or like a mom's not there or dad's not there. And they don't really go into that. But for some reason, Hey Arnold decided to kind of go into that more.
Now, would you say overarching? Because I only remember there only being like 2 episodes where they bring this up.
Yeah.
Because there's the Parents' Day and there's the last episode.
There's I want to say like maybe 4 episodes. The
okay.
Parents' Day where they have the...
Is that where they first introduce it?
That's kind of it. Like, that's the one with the games and the competition.
Right.
Okay, and yeah, and then, so Arnold's really upset that he doesn't have parents, but they don't really talk about his parents. They just kind of, yeah, they're like, he's an orphan.
Okay, so what episode is the one where they actually show his parents leaving in a flashback?
There's an episode where, like, I can't remember which one it was, but his
according to the wiki,
okay,
there's one called Arnold's Hat, which I guess explains where he gets his hat. And then there's Parents' Day. Then there's the journal, where he finds the journal, which I believe is the last episode.
That's the last episode, yeah.
Well, there's an episode where the grandpa's, like, telling him a bunch of stories about, like...
Yeah, it's that
how
one.
his parents met.
Yeah,
and the adventures.
Maybe.
No, it's not the hat one. The hat one is when he loses his hat and then Helga finds it and she's obsessed with it.
Yeah, I do remember that one because it's Grandpa is telling him all about.
Yeah, Grandpa's telling him all these stories.
I remember that one.
I don't remember when he gets the journal, but yeah, Grandpa's like telling him.
I think he gets the journal in the last episode.
Yeah, so.
But anyway.
But Arnold's like, he's like, why don't you tell me like a real story? Because they were all like made up stories. And he was like, tell me some real stories.
So he tells him like the
So he tells him how they met. Now I don't know if that.
I do remember.
I can't remember.
That sounds like the journal one though.
Is that
no, it was earlier than that.
I don't remember.
Oh
anyway.
my god.
Okay.
Anyway. So this movie pretty much picks off right where the end of the Hey Arnold series left off, and I don't know, because we don't have cable, if like Nickelodeon's did like a marathon of Hey Arnold before this movie, because any kid like nowadays watching this movie is gonna be super confused.
Yeah, it was definitely made for us.
Yes, for kids who watched it when it originally came out.
Well, because Nickelodeon was doing that. Remember on like Saturday nights or something, they would show like.
Well, they still do that.
Yeah, so maybe that's.
But it's because on Teen Nick I think on Saturday nights, or maybe it's every night now.
They show like all the old 90s
yeah, they show a bunch
stuff,
of 90s
like,
stuff
at
like around midnight or something. But this aired on like proper Nickelodeon, so I don't know.
Anyway, I think just the fan base was huge. I think it was like, you know how like Butch Hartman talks about how the Danny Phantom fan base is huge. I think it was just something like that.
Yeah.
I think just, you know, the fans of Hey Arnold were really unhappy. Like in Samurai Jack too, it's like the fans were unhappy. There was no conclusion.
They're still unhappy.
Yeah, always. So anyway, this picks up. Arnold has the journal, and so this movie has, I don't know, like it was fun to watch. It was very nostalgic. There were so many fun references.
The first like half hour of this movie is just
like nothing but callbacks.
Yeah,
Kyle, it's remember this thing? Remember when this character had this catchphrase? Remember this episode?
Yeah,
it's pretty much all that. And it's
remember
not...
Stoop Kid?
Yeah,
exactly. And it's not bad. It's very cute. I
enjoyed it.
All the callbacks and stuff, but
and it's like, fun. You see the characters kind of, you know, updated their models, and
yeah, because I think this is supposed to take place like what, a year after the end of the show.
Well, I think the show like starts in 4th grade, and I think the show they go from 4th grade to 5th grade in the show. Is what I believe.
Something like that.
And then because they have multiple teachers in the show, like when the show first starts, they have this cranky old lady teacher.
And then didn't she win the lottery and quit?
I don't know, maybe.
I think that's what happened.
Is that what I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
And then they get Mr. Simmons.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. There's a big thing with Mr. Simmons, I guess.
Well, what's interesting though, because I saw the movie art was posted somewhere. And the principal was in the movie art. He's not in there.
I remember that. Yeah, there was, because like Mel said, like Craig Bartlett's been wanting to work on this for years, and he released a bunch of concept art years ago, and it's and some of it's pretty different from how it ended up.
One of the big things was like we never knew Arnold's last name.
Oh yeah,
I thought they explained that, or was it just the creator explaining it?
I think Craig explained it like online.
So
once.
Craig never released what it actually was because he wanted it to be a surprise for the movie. That was so like in the screenplay, when he released the screenplay, it's supposed to open up as like Arnold signing a package, and he signs it Arnold Shortman. But he never says what he's signing. He just says he signs his full name.
So
then Craig said, "Well, you guys know his last name. You've been hearing it
for years,
and that's all he said."
It's such a weird thing to say, though. Like,
and what I think is weird is that his grandpa calls him Shortman, so he's just calling him by his last name.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is weird because even towards the end of this movie,
Phoebe
calls him Mr.
She's like
Shortman.
Mr. Shortman, and no one's ever done that before.
Yeah, he calls him Mr. Shortman.
So you guys know that like Craig Bartlett and Matt Groening are like somewhat related.
I think Matt Groening's sister.
Yeah, he's
married.
He's married to Lisa Groening.
Yeah.
So they basically did the same thing in The Simpsons, where Bart would always call him Auto Man.
Yeah, and that's his last name.
And his name really is Man, but yeah, they would always. He would just be like, "Hey, Auto Man," kind of like, "Hey, dude," but no, that's his name too. So it's kind of funny.
That's really funny.
So in this movie, it's obviously it's basically trying to wrap up every question in Hey Arnold lore that had been posed to fans. So obviously you get to learn what his last name is. It's all about like what happened to his parents and reuniting with them. Do Helga and Arnold finally get together for reals this time? All of that's answered. So basically the whole setup to this movie is that Arnold is still looking into his parents' disappearance and stuff, and big coinky dink.
This movie is just nothing but.
It's nothing but. Well, I mean, they explain why it's a coincidence.
I guess that's true.
But basically, there's this coincidence.
So there's a big school project. It's like a Habitat for Humanity's thing.
Yeah, it's contest. Thank you. Contest. And it's like if they win, they get a class field trip to the country.
It just so happens
conveniently where Arnold's parents disappeared.
Yeah. Exact country.
Exact country.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it that they explain later, but like for the first like 3/4 of this movie, it's like that's a huge convenience.
Yeah.
And they even kind of poke fun of it.
So then,
where Jared leans over, it's like, it's almost like it's tailor made for
So then they get there and Arnold's like, I'm gonna look for my parents' best friend Eduardo. And Eduardo's driving the ship? Whoa.
It's it explains a lot of why these coincidences happen. And there is a reason behind all of it, but you're led to believe it's like, wow, this is even really convenient.
So we're going to give spoilers away, so if you don't want to hear Jungle Movie
I think
spoilers,
people are just kind of used to that by now.
I feel like we've already said enough spoilers.
So, so going into some things that I found a little confusing, and again, unless you were like marathoning Hey Arnold before you watched this movie, which I'm sure a lot of people
maybe did,
because some people are like that.
Right.
I probably would have if it was still on Netflix. I think
it's all on Hulu, so, you know.
A couple years ago, I like binged watched it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of episodes that I had never seen that I got to see that because they were on Netflix, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I kind of tuned out for last season, so I'm sure
there's like a really like serious Valentine's Day episode that I had like never seen before.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go to the jungle, and so there's like this big supposedly overarching bad guy named La Sombra, which was he ever brought up before?
I
don't remember him ever being brought up. I remember the green-eyed people being brought up. I remember all that.
And you finally get to see them.
And then they were talking about like the Corazon, like this, this is something we're supposed to know.
Well, I have some problems with that, but the whole La Sombra thing, they like show a fucking picture of him and he's wearing like a skull mask. Actually,
yeah, you're right. He was like in a mask.
Actually, it seems like he was brought up. He was in the journal episode from the wiki says.
Because there's an episode that shows like how Hey Arnold's born and he's like stops a volcano when he's born.
Oh yeah, this brings up a question for me. Does that mean Arnold's not technically an American citizen?
Yeah, probably not. No, he was born in South America.
Yeah. I mean, his parents are American citizens, but he was born outside the U.S., so...
I'd have to rewatch that episode, but like, why the fuck is she still like in the jungle when she's about to give birth? Like,
adventure is out there, dear.
Jesus Lord in heaven.
So what I had a problem was they kept calling it, was it the Corazon? Something?
Yeah.
So they keep calling it that, and it's like, all right, cool. And then they just stop. They drop it completely and keep calling it Heart of Gold. And then it's like super obvious
Phoebe reads
afterwards.
The translation.
Right, because they say Corazon's like heart or whatever.
So she's like, Corazon, translation, heart. Because Phoebe's the nerd.
She's a nerd.
They keep, they keep saying Heart of Gold, and then it's like, oh, I see what's going to happen now.
Yeah, and...
Because Arnold has a heart of gold.
Right. It all ties together. But, Mel, you kind of, like, touched on something, how, like, Phoebe's a nerd. I feel like there's... It's a problem I've been having with a lot of these movies we've been reviewing lately, where it has these giant cast of characters, but only a few of them get focused on. So,
that's this whole movie.
Other than the fact that you were supposed to see, like, here's all the old kids from the show, and we got their voice actors as close to the originals as possible.
They got a lot of original voice actors,
right? But there's no reason for most of them to be here. Like, Phoebe kind of has a thing.
It should have been like, if you win this contest, you and 4 friends.
Yeah, exactly. It would have pared it down.
Because, like, so did La Sombra pay for all their plane tickets? And he paid, and when they got on that boat, he paid for, like, a buffet dinner for them.
There's a lot of setup for this.
He could have, like, kidnapped them on the boat. Like,
yeah,
but
like,
he was somewhat rich because he's a black market dealer.
But the whole point is, like, getting the whole class down there is kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
And the story kind of suffers.
The teacher's there with them.
Right, and it kind of suffers for it because, like, these kids don't really do anything. I mean, there's that whole part where they escape the prison camp.
And then they spend forever on the escape thing.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's no conclusion with it,
exactly.
like, at all.
No. And then there's the part where they're like, okay, we're in the prison camp. We're going to send a message back to America. So Helga's parents and Arnold's grandparents somehow within the span of like 2 hours managed to come from America to South America, rescue everyone from the prison camp, and it's never brought up how they get back to America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where the movie suffers. Because then they drop all of that and they go into the green-eyed people thing. So I think you're right. If it was originally supposed to be a 2-part thing, I think that was where it was going to get cut.
There feels like there's a lot of cut scenes from this.
I feel like that, the whole chunk with the classmates was the first part, and then the rest of the green-eyed people. The actual
part going to the green-eyed people was supposed to be the
second part. Because I agree. It was really confusing. And then, so Lasombro's the bad guy.
That's fine.
And then randomly the real Eduardo shows up just like, I don't know.
Out of nowhere.
You have no idea he's following them. You know, in like how some movies...
Well, no, he does say he was the pirates.
He's like, I was the pirate ship. Okay, you know what they should have been... They should have showed like... You know how like some movies when someone's being followed, they keep flashing back to the person following, like tracking the footsteps.
Like kind of give you some...
Yeah, like subtle hints.
Like they'll show you from their perspective.
Yeah.
I agree. They should have
hinted at that.
Mm-hmm.
It was very random, and it was like when Lasombra had the big reveal that he was the bad guy. It wasn't really like a oh my gosh, because we didn't know these characters. Like we kind of know what Eduardo looked like from like pictures and flashbacks and stuff. So yeah, and if you'd watched the show, but even then, I mean, it's not like
yeah, but.
So there was, I don't know if you remember, a couple months ago or maybe a year ago, Nickelodeon released an animation test that showed like Hey Arnold's parents fighting Lasombra for the heart, and it showed like his parents like up against him.
Vaguely. And I feel like that might have been like another cut scene.
Why wasn't that in the movie?
Yeah.
That should have been there.
We're probably going to get a DVD release, director's cut.
Because that shows his parents fighting against this person named Lasombra, and that shows that this is our antagonist. Well,
and here's my thought: this movie is about an hour and 20 minutes. I feel like this was supposed to be two 1 hour movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was going to be like the first half of them getting there and all the stuff with like the camp and stuff, and you probably would have got a little more backstory with Arnold's parents, and then the second movie was going to be them exploring the green-eyed people. So I feel like there's like about a half hour of this movie that's missing.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of bothered me. I think something that could have helped, like even if you're like a huge Hey Arnold fan, you've seen everything. Something that still would have been helpful would have been to like they had Arnold's dream at the beginning that kind of explained his parents being missing, but they should have did like a little like Arnold adding to the journal or something where he's like my parents were doctors in this thing, and they went missing.
Kind of give a better recap.
Yeah, like, and what's the sleeping spell? And Arnold was like, oh, I remember this in my journal. He could have been like, my parents left to go solve a sleeping spell epidemic. Like, don't just drop that on us.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Like, if this movie had come out when the show had ended, that would have been fine to do it the way they did, because you'd already know all that stuff.
But even in the show, they hardly...
But I think it's because there's so much time passed between the show ending and this movie, they really needed to do just a little bit, not a whole lot, not enough to just like do an exposition dump, but just enough to get you back into the loop of things.
Now, like, it's so easy to dump on things and find negativity and things.
And that's the thing, like, I feel like we're dumping a lot on this movie.
But at the end of the day, I'm really happy that this movie, like, existed. I'm really happy it came out. The whole month of November, I was just like, is it out yet? Is it out yet? Like, I couldn't wait.
You just wanted Thanksgiving to be over?
I just was like, I don't care about Thanksgiving. I want the Hey Arnold movie. Like,
yeah.
So I'm really happy it's out. I think the artists and the writers did a fantastic job calling back to the show. And I think what's cute is, like, some of the artists and writers that worked on it were fans of the show growing up. Mm-hmm. So, like, that was kind of probably fun for them.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job with the characters and the writing. And
well, I mean, I think this movie is as faithful as it possibly can be. Like, I think
what's Craig Bartlett even been doing this whole time?
He was trying to do a thing for Cartoon Network. He did like an Oregon Trail pilot kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
I was like, he
I
just
remember
came
that.
out after 15 years. He just decided
He's
to come
been
back.
he's been doing Dinosaur Train too. Dinosaur Train was something Disney did. It was a preschool show.
Oh yeah, I feel like a lot of people ended up doing that. Like, didn't the guy who made Doug end up making a preschool show?
I think so, because I've been following him on Instagram, and he does like he was doing Draw with Friends or whatever when that was popular, and
Nice.
everything he was doing was Hey Arnold related, and he was sending it to like random people. So I think that
That's
was kind
awesome.
of cool. But he's been
So,
active.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, yeah, he's pretty active online too. Like, I remember, again, another one of the things, like, when I followed all these Hey Arnold groups, and they talk about, like, Craig Bartlett, and they quote him a bunch, and, because fans always want answers for things. I guess at one point there was a plan for, like, a Pataki's show on MTV.
Yeah, but they canceled it because it was
canceled
all,
it.
like, it was too mature or something like that for what they wanted to do.
Because it was supposed to be, like, Helga's mom.
Actually having an alcohol problem.
Like,
I would have watched that.
it was supposed to be they were older, I think, in like junior high or 16 or something.
Dustin always talks like Big Bob. It's fucking great.
Big Bob. And,
You guys haven't heard him do that?
No, I haven't. I want
never talked to Dustin.
I want to hear Dustin do it.
He's like, pipe down, I'm watching the wheel. And that shit's hilarious.
It's amazing. So kind of going into that, what I was thinking about is, like, I saw Craig said something along the lines, he was like, I'm shocked that, like, I didn't feel like our show was anything different from what else was on TV at the time, so I'm shocked it's had such a loyal...
It is kind of weird, like...
But I disagree.
Well, I do think it is a little weird, because Hey Arnold is, like, kind of it's a very chill, it's a very wholesome kind of show, but it is kind of weird, the chord it kind of struck with kids back in the day, and, like, it went on for a while.
I think the show really was ahead of its time. I think...
I don't think it was anything
not
special.
ahead of its time. So for me, and this maybe is just because I'm an emotional human being, but, like, for me, I always thought, like, when I watched that show, I was like, this is a really, like, intuitive show. They talk a lot about, like...
Well, yeah, it's a very smart show.
It's very
sometimes.
smart, and the kids... They show kids with actual problems, kids with different families and different house types. And I think for kids across America, they're so used to seeing, like, these, like, Dexter's Lab where they have two parents and they live in this beautiful house and shit like that. And then you watch Hey Arnold, and it's like, okay, he lives in this rundown, dumpy apartment with his grandparents and a bunch of random weirdos, like...
Which in this movie, you only see 3 of them.
Yeah, that was a shame. But, and then, I mean, Phoebe herself is a product of an interracial marriage. Like, her dad is Asian and her mom is American, and things like that. And, there's a lot of different races. There's Hispanic kids, there's African American kids. Boys and girls have equal showtime, I feel like. And I just think things like that resonated with children because...
You got a little bit of everything.
You got to and maybe you're coming from a dumpy home life. Maybe you don't live with your parents, and it's just kind of nice to see. It
basically showed, like, no matter what kind of situation you had going in your life, you had at least one character on the show you could relate to.
That's what I think, and especially, like, Helga, I think is a very intelligent character because she is horribly neglected and abused at home, like, emotionally abused. They completely ignore her and neglect her.
I mean, you play that up in this movie.
And so she takes out her insecurities and her frustrations and sadness, and she bullies the person that she cares about the most because she doesn't know how to...
That's what she sees as...
Exactly. She doesn't know how to... And I think that is very intelligent. I think that is an intelligent thing to write. I think that putting that into a kid's show, I think is intelligent. And that's just one example. I mean, there's all kinds of kids in that show where there's just episodes like that.
Right.
So, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's why I think it resonated with
a
fan base.
So, Kyle, I feel like you haven't gotten to have a word in edgewise here. Why don't you tell us some of your thoughts here?
I think as a whole, the show's writing wasn't all that great. A lot of the episodes took a bunch of cliches and tropes from old sitcoms, like
Oh yeah, he did say that. Craig did admit to that.
a lot of the things are like, oh, the money got stolen by a one-eyed lady with a pig leg and stuff like that. That was kind of like big sitcom.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of that was there. I can see that. Yeah, it was cool, multicultural, whatever. Bullshit, whatever.
And it was like it was in an inner city and kind of poor and
right.
Yeah.
We're so used to seeing like Kim Possible's in a rich white fucking amazing high school and like
With doctor parents.
Yeah,
Well,
like amazing parents.
I think they're two different things, though. You have like that was kind of action comedy. This was kind of almost slice of life, kind of.
Oh, it's completely slice of life.
Yeah.
But with Hey Arnold, there was definitely a bigger cast of characters, and I think kind of like The Simpsons in a sense, where you have just a giant cast of characters, and each one kind of gets their own episode and story time on different stuff, and
yeah,
I kind of dug that.
I loved that. I loved it was like each episode had like there was an episode about Gerald's brother, and then we never see this guy again. That's like there's so many characters.
Well, each kid had a parent, like you said, and they had their own lives.
They got mentioned at some point.
Yeah.
And honestly, in this movie, you get at least a cameo from pretty much anyone who was important.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember seeing the Jolly Ollie Man. Was he in there?
No,
He might have been in the group shot.
I swear I saw him in a group shot.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then Harold's parents were like unapologetically Jewish, and I love that too.
Yeah. There's like this scene where Harold steals ham from
the butcher shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jews don't eat ham, right? That's not kosher?
No.
Isn't that the thing?
You can make kosher anything.
Oh, I thought that was like the
thing. I think
thing.
kosher means it's blessed by a rabbi.
Oh, well, either way, yeah, like Harold's like
I think pork's one of those things.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Jews can't eat pork?
I thought that's what it was.
Sir.
Like, yeah, that's like
all
a
right.
super...
Sorry, Jewish people.
So
I don't
I
know
just thought that
about
was
your
funny
faith.
that Harold, a Jewish kid, who there was a whole bar mitzvah episode, and he just steals
but
ham.
I don't think he really knew his faith all that well, because...
Yeah, he seemed pretty...
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's like a stupid character, but like, they actually explore Harold quite a bit in the show.
They even make fun of it, because he was like, I was a one-dimensional bully before Arnold came. And that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was really funny.
The things I found weird with this movie was, so Stinky is part of their group. He actually goes on this vacation with them, and he only has one line in the movie, and his voice was so fucking off. Yeah, it was definitely not him.
Well, see, there's like Stinky has like maybe one line. Rhonda is like not a thing. I don't know why she's there.
Yeah, well, they like showed her. They like started to make her a thing.
And then dropped it completely.
And then dropped her completely.
And they brought Nadine back only for the fact that she like has a thing with bugs. And they just played that when it was useful to the plot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then and they had Eugene, who was accident prone.
Yeah.
And so he was inflated the whole time.
Well, yeah, I felt that was weird because that wouldn't have happened in the original series, the whole cartoons and physics thing. I don't believe would happen.
I agree with that. There's some stuff in this movie that seemed like a little too cartoony to exist in their world.
It felt like a lot of the modern day animation stuff I was noticing.
Well, again, you have to realize it's a completely new crew of animators and writers.
And new technology as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's all the animation sensibility that we know nowadays versus, 10, 15 years ago.
So, but, another thing I love when I watch the old show is I love looking at the background art of the show. Because, I don't know, it looks like it's completely done in colored pencil. Like, I don't know if it is or not.
I don't know.
But, like, and the music's very unique. It's all jazzy. I was going to
say that, yeah. They did play that up a bit, and I like that a lot.
And honestly, I think it might
music.
Like the whole show has a very unique feeling, in my opinion. And like the character designs, I've been showing a lot of Hey Arnold character designs to my students just because of like the head shapes.
Yeah, because I don't think like any one character has the same shape.
Yeah, and the mouths and their body shapes are all different.
I remember they were doing a making of thing. And they were saying every character's head is based on something.
Yes, I remember that.
What?
Nadine was based on a spider.
Two broomsticks put together.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Eugene is a soup can and just different stuff like that.
I remember that, Kyle.
I don't remember any of this, but okay.
So go on, JD. We interrupted you a few times. What did you want to say?
Made me happy.
I don't remember now.
Go and say whatever you had to.
Character design and art. Their faces are all different.
I was just saying that two characters had a similar head or a similar body shape or anything. So. But one thing I do want to talk about is like
Mr.
the big
Simmons being gay.
No. Oh. Okay, so by the way, Mr. Simmons has a confirmed boyfriend. Yay. That's a thing
Craig
now.
confirmed him being gay like years ago.
That's fine, but it's like now we live in an environment where showing that is okay.
Yeah, I like
that. It's not a big thing to show
true.
two men in a cartoon anymore.
Yeah.
15 years ago, that would have been a huge deal. It would have been all over the news, but now it's like, who gives a shit?
Well, and I got a quick question. There's like a scene where they're all at the airport and all their parents are there saying goodbye, and there's like Nadine's parents are saying goodbye. It looks like she has two moms, and
maybe she does.
Yeah. I couldn't tell. But she's an interracial child too, because her mom was black and her dad or mom was white. So that's again.
I didn't know that.
Interesting. So.
Yeah, but speaking of parents,
anyway.
I want to just talk a little bit about how there's all this build up to Arnold finally meeting his parents and how fucking underwhelming it is.
It was incredibly. There was no.
It's such a fucking cock
tease. Let's talk about this Aztec village and all that. Yeah.
So okay. So you finally get to see this long fabled green-eyed people, and when they show up, all of the adults are in like this 9-year coma.
They're in a straight-up coma.
They just been in a coma.
How are they alive?
Have they been feeding these adults?
I was thinking, how did they eat?
Pooping? Yeah,
like there's medical shit you got to do for people in comas.
Plug people in.
But yeah, so society's just run by children.
So there's the sleeping disease.
But so there's this whole thing. They're trying to find this literal heart of gold. Is a human heart made out of gold, and it is supposed to be this key to this device that will make
so confusing.
Will basically make an aerosol rain version of the antidote to wake all the adults up.
So really quick, they talk about Arnold is the chosen child because of his football-shaped head. When he was born, the shape of his head was so unique that they like worshipped him and thought he was the savior who was going to save the village.
Right.
So he comes back and they're like, "Oh my God, it's our savior with the football head."
They knew his name.
Yeah, and
looked weird.
It's like the one English word they know.
But literally anybody could have.
I mean, if you really think about it, Helga's the one that saves them all. Because they have this literally gold human heart that was supposed to be the key to activating this machine.
But it's a picture of him.
Well, they drop it off a cliff because La Sombra was a dickbag, and basically,
but La Sombra gave Arnold the technology that was needed to open the machine.
Right, because he wanted to take it.
Okay, so then he wanted to take it.
Then he tried to take it, and then
he got shot with a poison arrow.
You watching something over there, Kyle?
I turned it on because I wanted to see stuff.
But then so Helga sits in front of it and she doesn't get shot. So she's also pure of heart.
Right.
I saw that and I'm thinking, oh, she stole it before it like fell off the cliff.
That's what I thought.
Totally didn't happen.
But I mean,
that's totally
there's the one I think clever thing this movie does is the fact that this thing that you've seen since the first episode ends up being the key to saving all these people. Like her locket she carries around is the key to works as a makeshift key.
I agree. I did think that was cute.
But so yeah, they get the machine to work. All the adults are woken up, which means Arnold's parents are finally awake and he gets to meet them. Their reaction to meeting their son, who they've not seen for 9 years.
They've been asleep for 9 years.
Is so underwhelming.
They don't know how long they've been asleep.
It literally was just like, oh, hey, what's up, guy?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Arnold.
Yeah, and then they cut, and
I get what they were trying to do because the show is called Hey Arnold.
Well, okay, so part of this kind of ties back. So in the beginning of this movie, it's Arnold having a dream that he can't find his parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he wakes up. So the end of this movie has Arnold waking up in his bed again, which makes you think for a split second, like, oh, this movie was it was all a dream. It was a big cock tease of a movie. But then he goes downstairs and his parents are there and they have to yes, all of that actually happened.
Like, yes, Arnold, you did save us. Like, okay, parents, can you just be a little more...
Yeah, his parents are so wooden. And they're so
they wore And they didn't know how school worked. They're like, oh, what
it's
happens?
Like you guys lived in a full adult life before
I gotta be honest. These parents, in reality, they would be in a hospital. They would need to be going to physical rehab.
They'd be
being in a coma for 9
They'd
years.
probably be under psychiatric
They'd be
work.
Atrophied, like
yeah,
psychiatric work. They'd be malnourished.
Of course, there's like a whole summer that they probably came back and
I think it takes more than a summer.
I don't know, but then they're
I
like,
mean, people who've been in a coma for 1 year have to go through like crazy.
But it's so strange because they come back, they basically just reintegrate back into their old lives, and then they're like these weird. They end up being these weird, like clingy people. But they're like Arnold,
walk you to school. We miss you, and I'm like, are you robots? Like, what is wrong?
And then
with
they're
you?
like, I was like. He's like, we want to be with you always. Like, well, I got to go to school.
He's like, we're gonna wait
right here for like 8 hours. It's like, you weirdos.
Right, weirdos, Jesus.
So yeah, his like the whole thing with his parents. Yes, it's nice that he met his parents finally, but like it was odd.
It was underwhelming. I wish they would have gone into that more.
I'm watching it right now, and remember Jim Belushi was on here. He was the coach.
Oh, that's right.
And
and his wife, who was that voice actress?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
That lady with the raspy, sexy voice.
I remember her
Casper.
too.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about. I cannot remember her name. She's in a lot of stuff.
Well, he had a line in this movie. I thought that was cool. He hasn't done it.
I thought Jim Belushi was dead.
That's John Belushi, dingus.
Wait, who the fuck am I thinking about?
John Belushi's his brother. He was the blues man.
No, there was a guy. I thought Jim Belushi died because he had that sitcom.
Holy shit! No, you're thinking of someone else. It's Chocolate Boy.
Chocolate Boy.
Okay,
he was in a group shot.
Chocolate
and Torvald too.
Animal. Yeah, I remember that.
What the fuck am I thinking about?
And so was the rich Hispanic kid.
Yeah, I think
I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name. Let me look it up real quick.
I can't remember his name. But
anyway,
I mean, they literally had everybody.
Yeah, like, they had the which is funny.
Mr. Wynn's daughter.
Yeah, well,
they bring that up in the video. That was like their number one shit.
There's a joke. There's a character. It's the cop lady who, as a kid, I didn't understand, but now that I know what Fargo is, I know is a joke to Fargo.
Yeah,
because she's dressed like the cop from Fargo.
You know what I wish they would have talked about is how Helga basically got Mr. Wynn's daughter for them. Like
that is true too.
She was the one who did that, like, for them. Like no one they need to bring up all this amazing shit that Helga's
Speaking
done.
of Helga, I want to know when the fuck did Phoebe like be like full on boards with her crazy? Like, cause
she's always been on board.
Has she always been on board with that? I thought she was like kind of new, but like didn't know the full extent of it.
You're thinking of John Ritter.
That's who it is.
There
John
you go.
Ritter died.
Phoebe's always known.
Because like
when they were talking about this movie, they were acting like she was gonna have a huge part in this movie, and they were like, "This is why she looks this way," and all this stuff.
Built her
and
up,
I feel
they
like
released her character design.
And see, that's why I think there's a longer cut of this movie because she is pretty much
in promotion art. They show the four of them.
Well, because the whole escaping from the prison camp thing, that's all her. That's like she puts that whole thing together, and I think there's a longer version of that. That kind of like shows the aftermath of that.
Yeah, but I was just looking at some promotional art, and it was all four of them. It was Helga, Phoebe, Arnold, and Gerald together, and then which I think would make sense because then at the end of the movie, at the beginning of the movie, the four of them bump into each other, and at the end of the movie ends with
and then Phoebe like kisses Gerald, kind of,
so
and it's kind of random. Like it's always kind of assumed that they liked each other.
Yeah, I mean they've always kind of had a thing.
So I'm looking at this right now, and it looks like Nadine's parents. It's just a long-haired white guy, like a Rastafarian dude. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
And then, Harold's parents are there, but they aren't seen in the main shot of him where he's got the hoagies.
Weird.
Is oh no, I guess she wouldn't be.
What?
Big Patty, but she's not in their class.
No, yeah, she's older.
Fucking Mr. Simmons has like a Russian. Slavic
His
dude as a
looks
boyfriend.
like a Muppet. Like he looks like Ernie or Bert.
A little bit. Like a blonde Bert.
Yeah, like a blonde Bert.
Whoa. They'd never shown Curly's parents.
Dude, his fat dad.
Yeah, his dad looks just like him, but he's huge.
So I gotta say, the episode with Curly, there's that episode where they're blaming Eugene for like pulling the fire drill. That is probably one of the best cartoon episodes in history. Like,
it's great.
You know what I'm talking about?
I kinda.
Because at the end where Curly like goes crazy, and he's like, and he took my pencil and he's sharpening it, and sharpening it. He's like loses his.
They bring it up
mind.
where he's like, "No, you're too crazy for us."
Yeah, I love it.
He can't be the camp snitch because he's too crazy.
That's gotta be one of the best episodes ever.
And he frees all the animal from the zoo.
Yeah, that was like a callback to that too.
I love that part though.
Curly is the freakiest character in that show. Like, so weird.
Yeah.
He like sniffs Rhonda's hair all the time. Like,
yeah.
I love that Brainy kid was back in there. He looks older because he had a pencil mustache and shit.
I love that he has a pube stash.
And like, I like that it's his ship. Like, he ships Arnold and Helga.
He just ships him.
I did like
weirdo.
I don't know. I like that Brainy is like, he's always being weird, but like he obviously has a good heart. And I love this for fucking no reason when she kisses him, he like just pulls out a pan
Yeah,
flute.
he just like dances. I want to know who animated that because that was brilliant.
I love that part.
Man, and then when he finally gets my pencil back to me, he goes, "Oh, here you go, Curly."
Oh, wait, is that the one where they're doing like the interrogation thing?
And Arnold's the only one who doesn't think Eugene did it.
Oh,
that's another reason I really like the Hey Arnold show, is because Arnold was so good. He was always helping people. It made me want to help people.
I kind of felt he was different in character in this, because normally he's like the cool guy. Keeps a calm head. He's normally like nonchalant about everything, and then this one he's different.
I don't think he's ever been like a cool kid. I think he's always been like the voice of reason kind of character. And a lot of characters, I remember, actually kind of thought he was annoying because of it.
Yeah, there was a whole episode where they're like, you kind of butt into things that aren't your business.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? I think his character development from the beginning of the show to the end is very different. I agree with Kyle where I think the first like season he's very chill, he's very laid back. He even like his eyes are always half closed.
Yeah, but like, after a while he kind of,
and then after a while he becomes, his eyes are always open, he's always talking to people, wanting to help people.
Super optimistic.
Super, yeah, I agree. I think his character's really changed.
And I mean, there's the whole part in this movie where like he's talking to Eduardo and they're like keeping that secret between each other, and then everyone finds out about that. It seemed like everyone,
that was weird.
Everyone in that whole scene seems really out of character because like everyone finds
he's a bad guy now or something.
Yeah, everyone.
Like that. I didn't.
Well, what I want to know is what was the big fucking deal, because they weren't even off course. They were still heading to the same place.
My thing is that so when Lasombra finally reveals himself, it's very obviously Arnold didn't know that.
Yeah.
But everyone is like getting on his ass like he did, like he's doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
And then like for a good 5 minutes, everyone's just pissed off of them. And then Gerald and Helga just immediately get over it, I guess.
She fucking pushes him in the mud, and that was so fucked up.
Yeah, I was like, Helga, damn.
You love this man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say, because she comes from an abused family, so.
Right, but, so yeah. I think probably the best part of this movie is probably Helga, though. I think they pretty much spot on. She has not changed. So.
I gotta be honest, there are so many episodes in the original show that feature Helga that she almost rivals Arnold as the main character.
She is the second main character.
If I were to be honest, she would, to me, almost be exactly the same as Arnold as the main character.
No love for Chocolate Boy?
No love for Chocolate Boy.
No love for Chocolate.
Sorry about that.
For Chocolate Boy.
Yeah, chocolate. Yeah.
They got him sober in one episode. I remember that.
Yeah, his hair was all like combed back.
Yeah.
That's me. But anyway, so what I loved is like the voice actress of Helga. She's been on board with this movie since day one. Because like she kept in contact with Craig Bartlett. They were still kind of buddy, like, and she was like, hell yeah, if he brings this movie back, of course I'm gonna do it.
And it's really funny because you said that she was like 14 when the show was airing. Like she's an adult now, and she doesn't sound any different.
Like how Kyle was saying how they showed like the promotional things about this is what their head is shaped off. They would also show a promotional thing about the voice actors in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they would show all the kids together. So they would show her, and she was just a kid.
And that's what a lot of the kids were voiced by actual kids. I mean, but with that, you know, the voices would change because like Arnold, I think went through like what three or four voice actors.
Like with girls, you can do that. Like with girls, you can keep a kid voice actor,
because their voices are just naturally higher.
It'll stay the same.
Dude,
girls' voices don't
the person
really change.
who does Alice from Disney. She still does the voice, and she's like 80
ancient.
years old.
Yeah, she's like 1,000, but still does it.
And it still sounds like Alice, because she's in Kingdom Hearts and shit like that.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, she was like 80 years old and still voicing Alice.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Which I think is cool. But yeah.
But like, I don't know who they found for Sid, but he sounded exactly the same. Like, literally.
My Beetle Boots.
My Beetle Boots. I love that.
There's your callback there.
That was my favorite callback. That was from the Monkey Man episode.
Monkey Man.
They took my Beetle Boots.
The only one that didn't sound right was Stinky, and he only had one line.
Yeah, that was awful.
But what's
Harold
weird
was like exactly the same. Was that the same actor?
It sounded like it.
It had to be.
It sounded like it. The guy who did Mr. Kokoschka like died either this year or last year.
I did notice that the borders sounded weird. Like I think Ernie was the same, but I think Mr. Wynn and Oscar were different.
Well, I don't know if that was like a voice clip or not from him though.
It didn't sound like
No,
him.
Oscar definitely sounded off.
Yeah, and Mr. Wynn wasn't the same, but Ernie sounded the same.
I think it's the same guy.
And Dino Spumoni sounded the same.
Yeah, he's the same.
A pig eating bacon? So creepy.
On the floor.
It's so creepy.
So baby, why don't I break some things of yours?
Oh, jeez.
That was a good episode.
But yeah, so I don't know how you guys feel about the resolution between Arnold and Helga, the thing that the whole show has been leading up to.
I felt like they've already established that. I felt like they've already kissed before.
See, that's the thing. I feel like
I can nerd out.
I feel like this whole movie ignores the fact that the first movie happened.
That's what it seems like.
So I'm gonna nerd out again because here I'm a creeper stalking Craig. He wrote about that. He said that Arnold at the time of the first movie wasn't ready to accept Helga's feelings and talk about it because he was immature.
Right.
So they chose to just ignore it. But yeah, I mean, you'd still kind of...
I mean, he can kind of play it off, because I remember the stupid
like
way
she fucking grabbed him and kissed him or
they
something
did.
like
she
that.
Did, yeah. She legit,
see, what the thing that I feel like they can... the way they can brush this off, and it was their stupid way of returning to status quo at the end of the movie, was that she said she got caught up in the heat of the moment.
And Arnold was like, pretty crazy stuff, and she's like, oh... really crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And that was kind of
their excuse.
He was like, you don't actually love me. You actually hate me, right? And she was like, totally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So
that was stupid. I think that was just a way to sell tickets.
But I think it was interesting, like, they finally, like, all right, we like each other, that's cool. But then I thought it was such a dick thing at the end where they're like...
where he holds her hand and she's like, who said you can touch me? I'm like, Helga.
It's like, come on, girl. You've come to peace with this.
Yeah,
come on.
Come on. You all... It's not a secret. Like, what the fuck? Well, I think that's her still trying to show her tough boy tomboy.
But
she's tsundere.
I don't know.
I really want to draw Helga like completely on model, but give her like anime eyes, like and just be like baka. Not like I like you or anything.
Right.
There you go.
But yeah.
No, I agree. So again, and maybe this is because
never go to DeviantArt and look up Hey Arnold. Just kidding.
You don't go to DeviantArt and look up anything.
Well, Kyle, you should go to mine because I actually have
quite
a few.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at your DeviantArt in a long time.
It's old. It's like 6 years old at least. That art is, but anyway. So especially now that I'm a teacher and then I'm around like kids that age, I'm just like there is no way these kids would be smooching and holding hands.
I mean, that's pretty much for every cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, they have these kids that are like, okay, they're in 4th or 5th grade, and they're having, like, adult romantic feelings. And I'm like, when I was in 5th grade, I don't know. I wasn't sure if I liked girls yet or not.
Helga, I accepted because...
Shut up, Kyle. You know what I meant.
You said it.
Helga, I was fine with her being a crazy in love because she obviously was an odd person. Like, and given her family shit, I was like, okay, well, and there's a whole, like, episode where she goes to therapy. Like, so she's got problems.
Didn't I win an Emmy for that episode?
I hope so. That was a great, like, that,
showed therapy.
Anyway, so I didn't give a shit about that because, okay, yeah, fine. But I think for Arnold to just be like, all of a sudden, like, I've known you my whole life and you've always been really mean to me. Like,
but then he's like, there's been a reason for it.
Yeah, he's like, it's because you love me. I'm like, that's like,
and also,
not
that's
a healthy
another
relationship.
Also, that's another thing. I think love is a very strong word for him to use. Like,
I agree,
I think he said, because you
kids.
actually like me. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that he said love is
and
very odd.
She says it too, but she says it because she's crazy, but I agree. He says it.
Yeah,
like,
Arnold saying it sounds weird.
I will say there are many episodes in the series where Arnold is searching for a heartfelt romantic relationship. Like with Lila, he's obsessed with her. Well, not obsessed, but he really likes her.
Like
and
her.
And the Valentine's Day episode I was telling you about, where I had never seen it before, but that's very, like...
I don't think I've seen that one before.
That's very mature. And I'm just thinking,
he likes Ruth, too. That was another character they dropped.
That was the episode where they dropped her. The Valentine's episode. And actually, I liked the way they did that, because he was going on a date with Ruth, and... he realized that she sucked. Like, he was like, wow, there's nothing to this girl.
Boring.
Because she was like, I was going to go buy these braces. I didn't, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and then he meets up with Helga, who he doesn't know is Helga. Because it's like a mystery date.
Yeah.
He meets up with her and he's like, have you ever just, like, met someone and they turned out to not be what you think they are? And that's kind of how they concluded. And I liked that.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but yeah, I agree. Just they're 5th graders going into 6th grade. And like, okay, when I was in 6th grade, people were on quote-unquote relationships. But it was more to just say you were in one, not that you actually...
You don't know how you feel at that age.
I remember when I was in 6th grade, I had friends that were in relationships, but they never talked to each other. Like,
no.
They would maybe pass a note or two. But,
maybe hold hands at the most.
Not even that. Like, they were never around. I mean, it was just to say they were dating.
Yeah.
But I don't think relationship stuff really should start until, like, 7th grade. So if maybe the Hey Arnold show had ended, they finished 6th grade, and it was starting a new chapter of them in junior high, because that's closing one chapter of elementary school, opening a new chapter with his parents and a new age group.
Right.
So,
then I would have been fine.
Do you guys think Helga is going to end up, like, 15 and pregnant?
Oh, God.
So I'm going to nerd out again because I stalked Craig Blanchett. He said...
You mean Bartlett?
Bartlett, sorry.
There you go.
Not Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett! He said that Helga and Arnold don't stay together because their lives go 2 separate ways, but they stay very good friends.
And I'm fine with that.
So.
Because that is one thing that's always bugged me about kids' cartoons. Like, okay, these kids get together, and it's just assumed that they get married, or sometimes they'll even show they get married at the end. It's like,
they showed that in, like, Fairly Odd Parents, where he's married Tootie.
Yeah, I mean, pick any show where they've shown, like, a future, and they're married to someone they knew as a kid. It's I don't even talk to half the kids that I knew in middle school or elementary school, or like 90% of them.
I think it's just fun for the audience, but I agree, like, realistically.
It's realistically, it's not. That's not how that works.
So Craig says that, like, by the time the Pataki show's going on, Arnold and Helga aren't together.
Right.
He said that, like, they're just good friends and they talk to each other and, like, they're like, he said they're just really good friends. Like,
they realize they don't work well together.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because, well, and Helga's kind of, I don't know, I feel like that would be an abusive relationship. Yeah, Arnie!
Weird cousin.
Was it Arnie? Was that his name, or was it...
I think it was.
And then Lila likes him, and he's, like, obsessed with reading food labels.
Yeah.
Like,
I swear that was, like,
his
textbook autism. Because this thing was, like, reading packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was obsessed with, like, reading food packages.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
Arnie.
I don't know.
Arnie also had a football-shaped head, though, so why wasn't he, like, the chosen child?
Maybe this just...
Maybe that was... Maybe the whole show should have led up to Arnie getting the Corazon.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn. Maybe he'll get the silver heart.
Oh, the silver heart.
He'll get the bronze heart.
So, let's talk about how many people died in this movie.
Yeah, they should have killed people in this movie, by the way. So yeah, all of the Sombra's minions die at some point.
Sombra died, like, twice. They did not need to bring him back off the cliff.
He got shot by a poison dart, fell off a cliff.
Well,
he climbed back up the cliff.
Doesn't that make the whole thing where it fell off the cliff, like, kind of pointless? Because the dude could climb...
Twice.
Well, the heart fell off the cliff, and that was the thing that they needed. But the dude
Well, I thought they were
climbed
gonna
up
get
back.
That's what I thought. It's like they said, "Oh, we need the heart." Like,
So
well,
I
it's
thought
at
they
the
were
bottom
gonna
of a ravine. Better
time
go
for
get
a
it.
jungle adventure, and I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna go get it.
And that would have been the second part of the movie or
But
something.
no,
But no.
It's lost forever, but the bad guy came back.
no, he
Like,
died.
what the fuck?
Of
Well, he
poison.
came back the first time. He fell off the
But
cliff
no.
and came
Weird.
back.
But now he fell off the cliff and he's
With
poisoned, so he's
poison.
extra
Yeah,
dead
he's
now.
extra dead.
Yeah, he's double
Um,
dead.
He's double dead.
Double dead.
The double dead
So,
challenge.
so one guy straight up got shot with arrows and died, and they like showed that guy's carcass.
One guy fell through a hole
One guy fell through a hole
and
died.
fell off a cliff.
And then 10 people
Got crushed under.
crushed.
Which I'm not sure they're dead because I heard moaning
they
coming
were
from the
moaning
cave.
and groaning. Maybe they thought that was
They
too high.
died
a
from
death count.
eternal bleeding.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, or
But that was the
organ
thing.
failure.
They showed fucking spikes at the top, and then it was like, oh, they got crushed by
Yeah, the
rubble.
rocks. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Anyway. So, I don't know.
I guess they were just trying to show how evil La Sombra was.
I
He
think.
was very charming as a villain. I liked him, but he died with a wet fart.
A wet
And
fart.
that's what people remember. He's a wet.
That's a wet fart.
Yep.
So yeah.
I don't know. I just thought, yeah. So again, going into the green-eyed thing. So he had to put the heart in this machine, which was a vape machine, basically.
Well, I don't think he
And they
wanted
had
the.
to vape.
He didn't want the machine. He wanted the heart to
An
take back.
ancient vape.
No, I was saying Arnold had to put the heart into the machine
Oh yeah.
to turn it. Which, if any old thing could have turned the goddamn machine,
It had to be heart shaped though.
Which the heart wasn't even heart shaped.
They
It was
weren't
human
the same
heart
shape. They were completely different
Well,
sizes.
no,
even.
it was like traditional heart shape, but it had like the texture on it was a human heart
Stupid.
texture.
I get it. Like, I get it. It's really cute sentiment, but
Yeah.
it was really complex. And then so then for some reason, all of a sudden they were like, oh, the cure is here. And I was
It's been
like,
sitting right in front of you the whole
It's been sitting
time.
there the whole time. What the fuck have these kids been doing?
Maybe the kids are pure heart.
What is happening? Like, so all of a sudden, like, the last 15 minutes of the movie is this crazy fuck around to, like, wake up the parents. So they turn the machine, which somehow takes the packet of medicine and clouds it up and makes it rain.
They never show them putting the package
Yeah,
in the machine.
Like, what is happening?
They just assume that they were in there.
And then so it starts a rain, a green rain, with lots of butterflies.
The
And then all the
butterflies
parents
were the
wake
real
up.
bad guys.
Yeah. And everyone
Everybody
wakes
was
up.
covered in butterflies.
Right. And then all the parents wake up, and then it's just assumed everyone got back to
And
America
then Arnold's
fine.
parents are like, "Hey, Arnold," and I'm like, "You guys are witches. You have not seen your child in 9 years. Shut the fuck
So,
up."
Did you guys realize that every time they opened the door, more animals came out?
Yeah.
That's always how it is, though.
Well, no, like every time they'd open the door, like another animal was added to the
there
group.
was a bat. What
'Cause-
else was there?
And by the end,
no,
like
'cause
a
there was
butterfly
a
and a snake came
butterfly.
out
Oh
too.
yeah, I noticed the butterfly. Oh, what was that thing with Abner?
What?
He
Snake.
jumped off the boat and went back with a snake.
See, that's the thing. They are making huge like leaps in time because somehow Abner,
so
who
confused.
stowed
Came
away,
from
went to
South
South America in like the span of a couple hours.
No, but
he
he
goes-
was on an airplane though, so an airplane ride doesn't take that
Still.
long.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. So they're on the boat. Abner is freaking out. He looks at Eduardo / La Sombra's boots and then decides to jump off the boat.
He knew
What?
he was a bad guy, but
Okay.
Arnold trusted him, so he didn't want to.
Yeah, he knew Arnold trusted him, but he knew he was bad, so he had to go tell someone who doesn't. Which
But why looking at the boots? Why would that tip
He's
you
like
off?
I think he
he's like
smelled
a
him or
dog,
something.
so he smelled it.
And then I brought that up again. There's a scene where Arnold's like, I think let's go look up Eduardo. Oh, here's his house, just like down the street, because apparently,
yeah,
this country is a whole 10 feet wide. Because poor Spanish people, right?
oh, they're South American.
South
dear.
American people
Jesus.
who speak Spanish.
It could be Portuguese. You don't know.
Well, whatever. So they go to the real Edward's house and they open the door and it's a fucking mess. Like, it looks like someone
Busted it up.
busted the guy up or something, and they zoom in on a picture of Eduardo and Arnold's parents, but Eduardo's head's cut out. Why?
Because he needed to know that he had a mustache, so he could use the mustache.
Arnold knew he had a mustache.
Yeah, but La Sombra
Why
didn't.
would they
He
rip
had
the
to-
picture out?
La Sombra didn't.
Oh.
He had to dress
He could've
up like
just-
him.
You could have just took the whole picture. Because then he had a picture on the boat.
I do think the whole bit of going to Eduardo's house was kind of pointless.
And then he was like, man, let's get out of here and catch the boat. So they run it, and they're like, oh, and Eduardo's the boat.
The whole thing with the house is pointless because they don't learn anything.
No, nothing.
They're just like, oh, hey, dude, did you know your house was fucked up?
Yeah, so then, so then when Eduardo actually does show up, he's like, I've been following you the whole time because I was the pirates that attacked you. Surprise!
Yeah.
But then I would have been like, what?
Why didn't you say something earlier?
How did you know I was here? How did you know I was anywhere? What?
To me, it was obvious because he was like, no one's crazy enough to go into the rapids. And he said it in such a way where it's like, well, he's the bad guy. But you know way before then that he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
He was too saggy to be Eduardo.
I did think it was weird because when they showed, Sombra as Eduardo's, like, he looks like his facial construction looks just a little different. I thought Eduardo looked, like, older.
And I was really confused because...
So that's what tipped me off.
Yeah, so that was odd. And Arnold was just like, oh, this brown guy has a mustache. He must be Eduardo.
Well, for me, it was like they showed a fucking picture of him, and then as they're going on the trip, the guy's looking on a computer, and he's like, oh, it's a football head. It must be him. And it was like, oh shit, okay, see, that's the bad guy.
See, they could have kidnapped Arnie instead.
So I'm really confused.
That was a very
they showed the
foreshadowing
zooming thing. That was really confusing and vague too. Yeah, you're right. That was just like...
But,
yeah. So many things that were very confusing. But...
So, I think that's kind of what the consensus here is that there's a lot of confusing bits, a lot of not well-explained bits, but I think the question I think we should all answer, does this work as a fitting end to Hey Arnold finally?
You know, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah?
He got his parents back, and he and Helga know about each other's feelings.
It wraps up every question that you had, whether that is a satisfying answer or not.
I mean, it's...
And Phoebe got together with Gerald.
Yeah.
I like that more than Arnold and Helga, actually.
This whole relationship that we have no time with, we're more invested in that one.
It's adorable. I don't even care. Because there's an episode where they go to the cheese festival.
Oh, yeah.
And Gerald and Phoebe get together at the cheese festival.
That's right.
I thought it was like a highly speculated thing, and then it finally happened.
Because they're like holding hands at the end.
It's been kind of like hinted at the whole series.
Yeah, the whole series kind of hints at it, but
yeah.
I guess they finally came out with it.
So I guess, yeah.
Should we talk about how racist the movie is?
No. I'm not getting into that.
I'm just kidding.
People,
if you're listening, I read the craziest Tumblr post, so...
That's Tumblr for you.
About how racist the movie is.
But yeah, anyway, so, if you're...
I mean, I'm more... I don't know. Like we were saying earlier, like Samurai Jack had a conclusion. Hey Arnold has a conclusion.
Invader Zim's getting a conclusion, I think. Rocco doesn't need a conclusion, but it's getting a movie too. So
Cardcaptor Sakura is getting a thing.
It's just the time for finishing off.
So let's do it, man. Let's finish. Just
time
keep
to
going.
Bring back Megas.
Keep it up. Now they gotta
Megas got sold to the government. Remember?
Yeah.
We can't make more Megas XLR.
Got to write to your congressman.
Yeah, and Symbionic Titan got sold off too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sold off Symbionic Titan and Megas as tax write-off, so they can't do anything else with them.
What the fuck does that mean?
Basically, they sold it off for tax money.
No.
So they're technically owned by the government now.
What?
So
how can you do that to art?
Anyway.
Oh my god. What?
So if you were a fan of Hey Arnold, we'd be real interested to know what you guys thought of this finale. Does it live up to the hype of 15 years in the making or not? That'd be just let us know in the comments. It'd be cool to know your thoughts on that.
Kyle's only critique is that he wants more Chocolate Boy. And the Jolly Holly Ollie Man.
The Jolly Ollie Man.
Dan Castellaneta came back.
He did come back.
Because he's only been on The Simpsons. Because they pay him like $200 million an episode.
But he was the genie too.
The grandpa and the grandma were the same.
Yeah,
ones.
Like back in the 90s. He hasn't done shit since.
You can get Trace McNeil pretty easily.
Yeah. She's not really a Simpsons star though. She does like Clarabelle and shit. Dan Castellaneta has literally done nobody since...
Tuesday? I don't know.
He's the voice of Grandpa and he's voice of Homer.
Homer, Earthworm Jim.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He's also Arnold's grandpa and Homer.
Yes.
Aww.
And a lot of people on the Simpsons, and he voiced the genie when Robin Williams didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, and Trace McNeil's like on a lot of stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She does Daisy Duck and Clarabelle.
Oh.
Speaking of ducks, Kyle, where is the new DuckTales show?
I don't know.
Where did it go?
All right.
Anyway, as far as conclusions go, I'm really happy that it exists because I'm not like why a gift horse in the mouth, you know, like fucking
right.
You know, I'm content. Like same thing with Samurai Jack. It ended. It's got a conclusion.
No, I don't think any of these endings are ever going to be perfect. It's not going to be everything you want, but I think the fact that they went ahead and
remember
did it.
As Told by Ginger's ending.
But that ended when it was supposed to end.
That's true.
That ending was dumb, and I like that show.
Danny Phantom's ending.
We don't talk about Danny Phantom season 3.
He's the mayor now.
So, anyway, I'm content. His parents are back. I mean, if they were to say, "Oh, we're gonna do another season of Hey Arnold, see where it goes," another season with his parents, and
I could see that honestly.
I could see that. I could.
We're gonna make a new season.
Testing the waters. Hey
Put
Arnold Jungle
Nick.
Movie is the third highest thing trending on Twitter right now.
Neat.
So,
I'm sure Nickelodeon's real happy about that.
I'm real happy about it.
So, yeah. So guys, let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments, and tell us your Hey Arnold memories as well.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Tell us all your feels.
All the feels. So I think that does it for this week, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yay, bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Hey Arnold!
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.